Before we begin, thank you very much to Bobby Jr. is here for revenge for joining the Patreon campaign. Look, Bobby Jr., look, my D&D character fireballed your dad completely by accident, okay? And I apologize for the incident, but it wasn't my fault. It's not my fault I rolled a 1. Thank you very much for supporting. Thank you very much for watching Scheduled Conflicts. The new VOD for the last night's episode just went live today. It's over at the Goblins channel here on YouTube. Please go check it out if you're into D&D. We have so much fun on that game, and yeah, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. If you like rolling dice, hopefully you enjoy the show, because we do have a good time. Okay, so I will be completely honest with you. When Hasbro said they were doing a reveal event for 10/27 again, I was really hoping there would be a little bit more meat on the Transformer bones, because we were promised that before the month was out, we were going to get a whole bunch of Studio Series updates to counter how much Generations updates we had been getting recently. And we didn't. Again. No. They're doing an event in London. They said that tomorrow is when we would actually be getting actual Studio Series reveals, so I gotta sit on this for one more day. But for now, I'm left picking scraps, so we have to see if I can get an entire video out of talking essentially out of one reveal. But it is a major reveal that has major implications. So we're gonna discuss the toy, and then we're gonna discuss what the toy means. And because I am at the tail end of this little sinus infection of mine, I'm gonna see if I can get through this entire video without having to stop to unwreck my sinuses. So bear with me. But let us discuss Magmatron. So, for those who do not know, Magmatron is the main villain in Beast Wars Neo, the third Beast Wars series. The one of them that is exclusive to Japan, and he is a unique one. Even back then, this was an incredibly ambitious toy. You had 3 dinosaurs that combine into one big robot, right? Incredibly ambitious. Now, on top of all of that, on top of the fact that you have this massive toy that all combined into one robot, you also had a bunch of gimmicks attached to it as well. So, for instance, the shield that's attached to his arm had a gimmick where the fins kind of closed in on each other and kind of like pincered or scissored. So that was a gimmick. The missile, or I guess the sword blade, was actually stuck in a missile launcher, so you could fire the sword blade like a rocket. I want to say that the head actually had, wings, like a wing flap gimmick. I cannot remember that one for sure. I kind of want to, but I kind of want to say it did, though. I'm totally not double checking right now. Yeah. Yes, it did have a wing flap action. I'm right. Okay, so yeah, we had a lot of fun with this toy. This was a fantastic toy back in the day if you could get it, and it did actually come out in America under Beast Machines, weirdly enough. So it was one of those toys that I think I mentioned in a video recently. That I said, this is a character that's never going to get a modern toy because it's just way too complex to fit into any of the current size scales. Apparently Hasbro disagreed, because this is coming out of Commander class. So apparently at $90 you can fit in everything that this character and toy could do, and then work in a whole bunch more, and we get to talk about the whole bunch more here in a minute. On first glance, yeah, it looks incredibly impressive. It looks like they got in the entire deco. Everything detail-wise is there. They said it does lean more toward animation-accurate colors than toy-accurate. Fine to do. Fine to do, especially if they want to redo it at some point into something else. I don't know what you would. I don't know what you would do with it, but hey, you probably figure out something. I'm also happy to see little details are included, like the spark crystal. I was just thinking the other day that like the spark crystal was such a cool way of showing off faction in back in the Beast Wars era, because the whole thing focused on the spark. Sparks were like really big in the fiction of the time. So to actually have like a representation of it on the toy was actually a nice idea. I think it worked in really well. So it's cool to see that got in. So what else? What else? I mean, I think we have to go to other photos to see everything else. So the individual dinosaurs. Now, to be fair, these are um, more obscure dinosaurs, kind of. So now, for simplicity's sake, at one time they were just named Skysaurus, Landsaurus, and Seasaurus. Okay, a little generic, but you know, a kid could remember it. So, like, it's not a T-Rex, it's a Gigantosaurus. And I'm sure if I asked my buddy Red, he would be able to tell me the differences. I currently do not, other than it's just a different genus of like two-legged meat eater. Uh, the head unit is a Quetzalcoatlus, which I want to say it's a very inaccurate one. I think I remember the Quetzalcoatlus as like very large winged predator dinosaur, not this small. Um, yeah, I remember watching like Dinosaur Planet specials where they show like they are huge and like comparable to like a T Rex, but just winged. Uh, so a little bit small, a little bit small, a little bit on the weird lizard turkey side of things. And then you had Elasmosaurus, which is the long necked swimmer there. I'm hoping those are right. I'm hoping those are right. But they are very well represented. I will say some of the things are noticeably different. I'm gonna go land, sea, and sky. By the way, just so everyone else can follow along, so I can remember them. The Seasaurus actually does have a lot of improvements to the way its neck works. It's not ball joint based; it's universal joint and swivel based, which is nice to see. It's hollow, so I'm sure someone's gonna work on gap fillers for that. Uh, Skysaurus definitely has a little bit more going on. I'll explain because it doesn't have the flapping gimmick anymore. It definitely has a lot more that it's capable of doing just as an independent dinosaur, which is really cool to see. And then, of course, you know, that's actually a pretty realistic looking piece. Like they mentioned that a lot of the style of that went into Kingdom went into these, which means more realistic like skin folds and textures to them, which is a really cool thing to see. I really like when they add that extra level of detail, make it feel more like a replica rather than just a facsimile. See, we have to go to the actual shots from the stream in order to really get a good look at this. Look at the articulation level. So they did mention it was really important to them to get a waist joint in. And on the original toy, that was practically impossible the way it was engineered. But they managed to do it somehow. Really cool to see. More surprising to me is neck articulation. The fact that the neck rotates. I don't expect it to rotate much because those legs that hang over across the shoulders, that is part of the dino making the head. So the fact it can look left and right at all is kind of staggering to me because that in the original toy was impossible. I don't expect it to have full 360-degree rotation unless there's part forming involved, and I don't think there is. I think there's just clever use of joints in this beast mode's legs in order to actually make it go left and right without breaking transformation engineering anywhere. It looks like it's going to be super impressive the way that they've got it working. Everything else looks really, really, really cool. Some advantages, I think, to the fact that this toy no longer has gimmicks built into the weapon and the shield is the fact that it's going to have a much easier time holding them up and posing them rather than having to hold up something with a bunch of mechanics built into it. That's another little feature. Not a feature, but it's a plus to simplifying the design a little bit. But he looks so good. He looks really, really good. Like to not only like improve upon the original, but also just match it so well at the same time. It's just really impressive. I don't know if you guys realize Hasbro actually does make good stuff. Just because you want to harp on little gaps here and there, or because you want to praise third party, does not mean Hasbro is incapable of making good stuff. This looks really, really good. I really like it. I actually see like the little the missiles, which I think were blades on the original stuck there in the wings of the Skysaur. I really wonder if those come off. Did I see them in the other? I'm actually really wondering if those unplug now. Whoop, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, went too far back. It looks like they might. It looks like they might. I can kind of see an imprint where a peg hole might be. So if he might have a few extra hidden weapons here too. Yeah, it's just a really impressive job. Yeah, and there's the backside. I'm actually surprised that the Lansaurus actually looks so good from all angles. And honestly, all of them really. He is going to have a bunch of junk going on in the back. I would say it's probably comparable, if not better, than what the original one had. So nothing to really begrudge it for. I'm still looking for detail of how they got that head to actually work. I can't really tell from here, unfortunately. But yeah, it's really impressive. It's a really impressive piece. Here's the interesting thing. So the toy is capable of combining into this, Chimera-esque mode. And they said that it could do that, but they didn't show it. And I don't even think it's just because they only had 1 or 2 models available at the time. But weirdly enough, it's not even mentioned on the back of the box that it can actually do this. They mentioned it, but they didn't display it in any way, which almost makes me think it looks probably like this, where it might just be more detrimental to show it off because it's not the prettiest mode. Let's at least admit it's neat that it can do it, but it's not the prettiest mode. So I might expect more of the same. Also, by the way, the original neck you can see also had hollowed out parts, so don't harp on that. We see the box itself does have some really cool art of Magmatron there in the front. A little bit basic in pose, I think, but does a really good job showing off. There's a few Easter eggs in there. D-Navi's in there from the Destron side of things. Capsule's visible. We also have a little cameo in the bottom left corner that we're going to talk about here in a bit. I like the side of the box too. I like this. We'll get to that in a bit. Here's the back of the box where you would expect the Chimera mode. Gone. Not mentioned. It also shows the fact that it does come with blast effects. I think they're the ones off Omega Supreme, they said. Just done up in translucent purple. I don't know. I'm kind of bored on blast effects at this point. I don't know. I think they could have done something maybe a little bit more inventive than that. If they're going to throw in an extra just to bulk it out a little bit. But still, more effect part options. I know for a lot of people they like the effect parts, so more options are not a bad thing. It's not really hurting anything. Even without that, I still feel like everything this toy is accomplishing probably still worth the price point. I'd like size comparisons to really confirm that. And then there's the side of the box. They mentioned that this was a reference to the anime, the way they colored it and designed it. And it is. It is. Unfortunately, I prepared the image and then forgot to include it in the slideshow, so that's my mistake. But it's on YouTube. You can see Beast Wars Neo Episode 6, the Dinosaur Combiner Magmatron. Go look for it on YouTube during this fight with Big Convoy. This is the exact scene you see of the 3 dinosaurs charging at Big Convoy. Nice cut. Nice attention to detail. Really kind of cool they worked that in. So, what else do we have here? So, now we get to speculate a little bit further about Legacy United. We did get confirmation in this stream that he's Commander class. And they even mentioned, is he a Titan? Who would really guess that Magmatron was going to be Titan class, really? But it was confusion about whether I think if he was going to be leader or a commander. For me, for his complexity, I really thought commander was the only place that made sense to make him. So, this lets us speculate more. And of course that means I'm going to talk about my boy on the right side of the screen right now. This confirms more than anything to me that Tidal Wave is going to be the commander next year. So the only option now is that he could have been a leader class. And at leader class, he's just not going to have the size that he needs to really feel like Tidal Wave. And you're going to go off and go but if they make him a Titan, he's going to be way too big. He's going to be out of scale with everybody. I thought of that. No, he's not. Because in Tidal Wave's 2 debut episodes, he is like definitively Titan size. You know, if you think of you get a Titan class toy, put the new Hotshot toy next to it. It's going to be that size. So he absolutely should be a Titan. I think all of his best play features are going to work best if he was a Titan. We can, instead of mini-cons, you get to use core class figures for it. I've said all this before. I'm harping and I'm repeating myself at this point. More to the point, if it was commander or leader, you're looking at so much junk packed in for joints, for part assembly, for the transformation engineering. You imagine like hooking a deluxe to each of Armada Megatron's arms and expecting it to still function as a toy? Not happening. Not happening. So I absolutely believe, yeah, it's got to be it's got to be a Titan. It's got to just have parts that come off and then hook onto Megatron to form armor. That makes sense to me. But it not only does it confirm the Titan for me, but it also gives me hope for the future. We did see a shot of Big Convoy's tusk on the box art, which does make me believe that they are at least penciling in a big convoy for a modern figure, which does have an exciting premise to it. I would love to have a take on that figure that does handle the kibble maybe with a little bit more grace, and maybe incorporates it a little bit more into the robot mode itself. Lofty, I admit. I probably think it's just going to be a modern take, the same way Leo Prime is. By the way, it's just going to be Mammoth Prime, isn't it? The name's just going to be Mammoth Prime, which is not impressive. It's times like this, I actually wish they would just stick with the Beast Wars thing, and it would have been like Leo Primal, Mammoth Primal. At least sounds a little better. But it definitely tells me, like, I don't think they do that anymore, where they sneak a character into the packaging art. I think means they will absolutely make that character at some point. So same way, I think, yes, as much as I think the mold doesn't work for it, we are probably going to get the Earthrise Seeker mold redone as Armada Thrust. And likewise, I do think we're going to get Big Convoy at some point. And that means there's only going to be one left in the set. And this is why I'm looking forward to all this the most. I want this Galvatron again. I want this as a leader class Galvatron toy. Not only because it was my very first import Transformer, but just because I think it's a really, really good toy. It's a really, really good toy that I really, really like. And I would love to have a modern take on it with better engineering, better articulation, and no use of gold plastic. He does have gold plastic in his Dragon Feet, which makes me a little bit concerned about picking mine up and playing with it again. But I miss this toy. I want this toy to get a modern version. And if Big Convoy happens, then this one will have to eventually happen too. Which will put Hasbro in a really interesting spot, because that lavender is not accurate. He is pink in the cartoon. So, right there, you have the option. You do a pink one at retail. You do the lavender toy accurate at retail. Since Hasbro doesn't like producing pink, you do pink as like a Generation Selects. So you get both versions. See? Everyone's happy. I just want this toy. I just want this toy. So that's the big news for the week. Magmatron is the commander class for next year. It's coming out in July. The pre-orders are already up. Hopefully they're not sold out by the time you watch this. It's looking like it's going to be a real winner. It looks like it's going to be incredibly cool. And yeah, like if I can like ramble about this thing for 20 minutes, you know I'm looking forward to it. And you know it is an impressive job by Hasbro. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed my deep analysis of this toy and its implications, hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, hit all of those things. All those things are free to hit, by the way. And as always, I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy?
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.